Hi all. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. Today I am finally getting started on my eyeshadow palette collection slash declutter videos. This is the first one of the eyeshadow palettes themselves. I've posted quite a few of my overall makeup collection and I've decluttered as I've gone along, but today I wanted to get started on the eyeshadow palettes and just get this out of the way because I'm not gonna lie guys, I've kind of been dreading this, mostly just for the editing purposes. I feel like these are going to be long videos. I'm probably going to split them into two videos. I'm not going to swatch everything. I am going to, of course, open everything up, let you guys see it. I may talk about it a little bit. Certain things will be talked about more than others, specifically my color pops, which I have in front of me now. But not everything is I'm going to go into like in depth about. I'm just going to give you a little looky-loo and then we'll move on if I know I'm not decluttering it. So let's get started, and we're going to start with these palettes that I have in front of me, which are all of my ColourPop palettes. Now, I made a decision at the end of last year that I wanted to kind of sort of declutter my 9-pan palettes. And what I mean by kind of sort of is I really want to consolidate them. They take up a lot of space. I really hate the plastic containers. They're very hard to or plastic palettes. They're very hard to store. I prefer the cardboard ones. But yeah, I have so many of these, and I'm so glad I kept these little things on so I'm not blinding everyone. But there are shades in here that I want, and there are shades in here that I don't want. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do with all of these is I am going to consolidate them by depotting them and putting them in a large empty palette, which I purchased at the end of last year for specifically that purpose. So what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to go in depth with them with you guys, at least the hard pan ones. I'm just going to show you which ones I have, and in a separate video I'm going to be depotting them, and you guys can sort of watch as I do that, and I'll talk it through with you guys. So let's just go through these 9-pan plastic palettes quickly, and then we'll move on to the cardboard ones. So first up, I have Smoke Show, which I believe now is called Blowing Smoke. I think they had to change the name for copyright purposes. And that's what that one looks like. It's the, grayscale one, black, white, and gray, and silver. That to the side. I have Orangey Glad, which I was just showing you guys a moment ago. I have Mint 2B. There you go. I have Main Squeeze. I have Blue Moon. If I can open it. There we go. That one kind of wants to come out already. There we go. I have Honey. I have Baby Got Peach. I have Lilac You a Lot. I have Just My Luck. And I have Ooh La La. I also have It's My Pleasure, and I don't know where that is. I'm hoping that it'll show up. I moved all of my palettes to a different storage setup, and I've tried to keep everything sort of together by brand, but I'm missing It's My Pleasure, which is the original purple ColourPop 9-pan when they first started their monochromatic series. It's around here somewhere. I'll probably just pop it into that depotting video when I do it. But as of now, those are all of my 9 pans plus one. All right, let's get into these. So these are all of my sort of cardboard ColourPops, and this one is Baroque, and this is from, I think this is their fall or holiday, one of the mini fall or holiday collections from 2020. Very pretty. Yeah, I liked this. I don't know if I liked it more in theory than I think I do in real life. I feel like the shades actually on the eye are quite samey. It's very hard to get any dimension with these once you start putting them on the eye, but the shades themselves are pretty, which is why I hold on to this. I think they can work well with like other palettes. And I have Grandeur. I bought this one on a whim when I bought Baroque, but I actually like this one more, much more. I know it looks very boring, but it's actually a really pretty palette and really kind of fun to use. So I enjoy that one. I don't know if I'm going to be depotting any of these cardboard ones. I may. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. Next up is ColourPop The Child palette. And that's what that looks like. Very pretty. Love this shade here. That's like my favorite shade in the palette. It's so pretty. Then I have Good Sport, and this is old as all get out, and I can't bring myself to get rid of it. The shades are still, I mean, these shades were always on the drier side, and they still are. They don't feel old or anything. This palette is on the older side, but I just can't bring myself to get rid of it. This is like a classic color story, and I really wish that ColourPop would bring this back or just do something that's just as cool as this, you know? But yeah, I can't bring myself to get rid of this, so I will be holding on to that. This is the ColourPop Whatever palette. Very pretty. Love this shade here and that shade. I mean, it's a neutrally toned palette, but it's very pretty. And this is the At Forest Sight, the collab that ColourPop did with the Raw Beauty Christie. Very pretty. I need to get more use out of this. I got this right around the time when I was purchasing a lot of eyeshadows, and this one kind of got lost in the shuffle. The few times, thank you, sir. The few times that I have used, I hate it here. The few times that I have used this, I've really loved it. I just want to get more use out of it, but I think it's a beautiful palette. I'm going to do these at the bottom because they're a little bit older. First up, Sweet Talk. This one is like a classic. I'm actually thinking of decluttering this. As much as I loved it when I first got it, I don't know. I haven't reached for it in ages. What I'm thinking I might do is hold on to it for now and see if there's any of these shades, especially this one because I loved that shade, that I want to keep and just depot when I depot the other ones. But yeah, if I choose not to, and I'll show you guys in that video, I might just wind up decluttering the whole thing. Yeah, because I just don't reach for it anymore. It doesn't excite me like it used to. Next up are... Let's do this one first. This is the Disney Mulan. I know a lot of people talk crap about this, but I actually really liked it, and I loved it for these like metallic-y shades. These shades are so stunning. I mean, the browns are browns, but like this shade here, this one, which I believe is a glitter, this one, this one, this one, those are all so pretty. It's a really pretty palette. I have a good time using that. All right, and then of course we have the original Hocus Pocus, which I believe they released a second one, like a part 2, and then they released this one as well. I didn't get this in the first go around. I got this when they did like a little baby restock at the end of last year, or year before last rather. It all feels like 1 year, doesn't it, guys? I feel like it's just one long 2020. Anyway, beautiful palette. Love the metallics in this. The mattes are matte, the mattes are neutral mattes, but I like this more for the metallics in it. And then these are probably my 3 favorite palettes that ColourPop has released in the last like year. You know, I loved these palettes with my whole heart. So first up is Tinkerbell. Well, actually it's called Sprinkle a Little Magic. I just call it the Tinkerbell palette because that's what it is. It's the Tinkerbell palette. So there she is. So pretty. I prefer these pan sizes too. I feel like now that I'm like really looking at all of those little baby brown pans are obnoxious. But yeah, this size is a nice amount of eyeshadow. I love that it's a 9 pan. I think it's really pretty. I love all of the shades in this. These greens are stunning. I don't think we needed this one. I think we could have just had that one. They could have put something a little different there. But other than that, that's my only gripe with this palette. Formula's great. Love it. Love it. Keeping it. Then we have the Limoncello. I was on the fence about getting this one, but I'm so glad I did because it's such a beautiful, beautiful palette, and that blue is insanely pigmented. Beautiful palette. Love it. Love it. And then this one, I think of all 3 are the ones that I like the most, but this has the little baby pans in it, but this is such a beautiful, beautiful palette. And now I want to check something out. Hold on a sec. I'm looking at one shade in here, and I'm thinking of the shade that I have in here. that I was thinking of keeping, and now they look very similar to me. So let's do a little swatch comparison, shall we? Let's do a little swatchy swatch. Oh, that's so pretty. And then this one. Oh, wow. Those are... This one's definitely more peach, but... Do I care about that shade? Not particularly. I think I'm going to declutter Sweet Talk because I'm like, I'm looking at these two shades and I like this one better. So yeah, because I was thinking if I was going to depot this, probably the only shade that I was going to keep was this one. But if I'm not liking that one as much as I like the other one, then there's no point in keeping that. So yes, the first declutter of the video so far is ColourPop Sweet Talk. Done. That's shocking to me because I was obsessed with that palette for so long, but you know, times change. You move on from things. All right, next up, let's do my dose of colors. And I have all of the old, and these are all like, I tried to wipe these down because they get so like fingerprinty. I have all of the old packaging with the exception of this one here, because I've had these a while. I bought these when they had their little vault and you could buy all of them together. So that's why I have all of them. But this is what they look like. This is Blushing Berries. I don't think I'm getting rid of any of these. Well, yeah, any of the these like 5-pan monochromatic ones I don't think I'm going to get rid of. That's Blushing Berries. Sassy Siennas. And as you can see, this is very much like a more curated version of Sweet Talk without the shimmers. And I like this better. I like the formula better. So you keep that. Marvelous Mauves. These little brushes that they give, they're actually really nice. They're like one of the few like eyeshadow palette brushes that I think are decent. And just like a perfect like matte cool tone palette. I think if I were to declutter any of them, it would probably be this one. Should I declutter this? I never use it. It's beautiful. It's just that I have other neutral toned palettes that I use. The completionist in me wants to keep it since I have all the other ones, but I also know that I haven't used this in forever and a day. I think I'm going to declutter it, guys. I'm going to go for it. All right. And then this bad boy, which is Cutting Edge. I think I'm going to declutter this one too. This was a whim purchase. I really didn't need it. I own a crap ton of greens and I just didn't need this, and I bought it and then I felt dumb for buying it. So I'm going to declutter it, and I kind of knew that going in that I was going to declutter it. All right, I was not expecting to declutter any of my like 5-pan dose of colors, but I decluttered like 2. That's decent, guys. That's decent. All right, next up are my Urban Decays. I don't own a lot of Urban Decay, and the Urban Decay that I own is pretty old. Okay, so I have my one Naked Heat palette, and that is, or Naked Honey. I always want to say Naked Heat, Naked palette, and this is Naked Honey. I decluttered Heat a long time ago. Yeah, I like this palette. I think it's pretty. The shimmers are the stars, of course. The mattes are whatever, but the metallics are really nice. I will be keeping that. I actually really like this little limited edition palette they came out with a long time ago. This is the Beached eyeshadow palette. How pretty that is. A lot of these are shades that you can find in other palettes too. They reuse these, like Blaze, I know is in the Born to Run palette, but I really like this little palette and I'm going to keep it. Then we have this one, and this is just, I've used this once. I don't know if I'll ever use it again. I don't really care. It's beautiful. I'm keeping it. These shades actually, they're old, but they still perform really well. And I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. I think the color story is actually really beautiful. And I'm keeping it. This one, I am keeping for now. This is one of those palettes, guys, where you keep it, but you don't know why you keep it. I look at this and I love the look of it. I've used it. I did a whole like 1 week, one palette little exercise with it. It's just a palette that I do like. Actually, I take that back. It's 2 shades from Beached. I just realized Blaze and Double Life are both in the Beached palette. But yeah, and maybe even Ignite might be a repeat too. I don't know. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. I just can't bring myself to declutter it because I do love all the shades in it. I just forget to reach for it. And I'm feeling like I need to just like force myself to like use it. But I just can't bring myself to declutter it. So yeah, those are my 4 Urban Decay palettes. They're not going anywhere. I do enjoy them. Next up are let's do these. My Nabla Cutie palettes. I have, I'm missing one. Am I missing one? No. Okay. So I like these. I like the nude one. I'll show it to you. But I am decluttering the nude one because I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are supposed to be sort of like cream to powder and they're so dry. And they were like this when I bought it. And I think I just got a really old palette. I've used it. I can make it work, but I shouldn't have to make it work. I really want these to perform properly. And the shimmers in this are beautiful. Like the shimmers work fine. The shimmers are stunning. And I might depot the shimmers. I don't know. But I like this palette and I want to get more use out of it, but doesn't function the way it should. So I'm thinking what I might do is just declutter this one and eventually get a fresh one because I think the one that I got it online from Ulta, I believe, and I just feel like it was an older palette, so expired palette. So I'm gonna get rid of that. My other 2 Cutie palettes, I have the Coral palette. This palette is stunning. This red, oh, I love it so much. Love this palette. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette. Keeping. And then finally my Platinum palette, which I also love. And this, the metallics in here are insane. Like the mattes or whatever, it's 2 brown mattes. This is, if you buy this palette, you buy it for the metallics. And they're really lovely, especially this silver and this like gunmetal gray. So beautiful. Keeping those. Next up, I have my 2 Linda Hallberg, or I believe they're now LH Cosmetics palettes. I have the Metallic Mysteries 2. Beautiful. Love this. Keeping. And then I have the Spectral palette now. I am going to declutter this. I kind of made my peace with that before when I was thinking about it, what I possibly wanted to declutter that I kind of knew was on the chopping block. And I just, the blue in this is beautiful, but it's also really like, you know, how do I put it? It's very lackluster for such a bright palette. This silver is just not good. It's not a good silver. These are pretty. Like dim is absolutely, I mean, look at that. But I have shades like that. It's not that unique. And I don't feel like the other shades perform well enough for me to keep this in my collection when I have shades that are similar that I think perform better. So I will be decluttering this one. Rhyme Crimes. So let's start with the big boy, which is my Venus XL2. And I've shown this to you guys before. Here she is. She is beautiful. I haven't gotten a ton of use out of her yet, so she will be staying, but I think she's beautiful. I wish their packaging wasn't so freaking thick and clunky though. That part works myself. Then I have my little regular size Venus palettes. I have Venus 2. This is actually one of the newer ones. I avoided buying this for so long, and then one day I bought it and I played with it and I was like, oh, it's so nice. I actually really like this palette. That yellow is stunning. I love this shade Pigeon. Mud is really nice. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping that one. Then I have Venus 3. Venus 3 I am decluttering, and the reason why I am decluttering, if you must know, people, is this shade here gives me an allergic reaction. Just this one. The metallics are fine on my eye. I don't have any issues with them. But they're getting a little hard pan, but a lot of my stuff does get hard pan because my hands are often, I use a lot of hand lotion, so I feel like my hands often make things hard pan. But, oh, look at that shade, Beloved. It's so pretty. But yeah, I have to declutter this because it scares me off. Like every time I use this palette, when I use that Bliss shade, my eyes just have a reaction, and I can't wear eyeshadow for like a couple days. It's something in the formula. I think whatever dye or whatever they use in that particular shade does not agree with my eyes. So I'm going to declutter it for that reason. I'm a little sad about it, but I haven't used it for that reason, so it's no point in keeping it. Next up, I have Venus Immortalis. This one, I want to love this one more than I do. I really do, because I love a lot of these shades. This one I just wish had more going on. Like, it looks so pretty in the pan, and then when you swatch it, it's just kind of like, all right, you know? These two are stunning. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one. This one is hard because I love the color story, but I just feel like I love the color story in theory and not in practice, so to speak, you know? I love that this glows in the dark too, like this packaging glows in the dark. I don't know, guys. I have a hard time. I'm having a hard time. I'm going to think on this one, but I know that there are reasons why I should just get rid of it. So I'm going to put it on the maybe pile for a little bit and think about it. And at the end of the video, I'll revisit. This one is another one that I don't use a ton, but when I do, I'm always like, oh, I love this. Like these shades. These shades. I mean, they're so, and they are very soft, you know, they're very soft shades. But I don't know, I like them. I'm going to keep it. So next up are my two Beauty Bay palettes. I think I'm going to keep both of these for now. I'm thinking if I were to declutter one, it would probably be this one, but I'm going to keep it for a little while. I want to play with it a little bit more with the shimmers. Because, I mean, look at that. Oh, there's shimmers. That's the thing. I love the shimmers in these palettes far more than I love the mattes. The metallics in these are just insane. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one. I'm definitely keeping Age of Opulence. I love this palette. This palette kind of shocked me with how much I really enjoyed using it. I was expecting to like Wilderness more, and I found myself reaching more for Age of Opulence. So, in case you guys haven't seen that one, this is what she looks like. And again, the metallics in this are just beautiful. I did a look with this palette for New Year's Eve on my Instagram, and it came out. It was one of those looks that I was like, I wasn't sure I liked, and then when I started taking pictures of it, I kind of fell in love with it. So yeah, I'm keeping both of these for now. All right. Next up are my Juvia's Place palettes. I did a ranking recently of all of these. None of these are going anywhere, but if you didn't see that video, I'll just do a quick rundown of what I own. So I have the Magic Mini. Beautiful. I have the Saharan 2. I have Warrior 1. I have Warrior 2. This is the all matte one. I have the Deuce palette. Can't get this one anymore. It's so stunning. I need to bring it back. I have the Tribe palette. Another OG classic cult favorite that they need to bring back. I have Nomad. And then the two minis I have are Violets and Chocolates. And that's all of those. Just get those out of the way. And let's do my 1 and 2 only. Huda Beauty ones. So I'm not getting rid of either of these. This is Mercury Retrograde. Let me move this maybe one over here somewhere. There we go. And if I can get this open. Jaguar. Very pretty. keeping both my two colored rain palettes. The two quote classics, I have the Safari Rain, beautiful, and I have the other cult classic, the one that started it all for them, which is their Queen of Hearts palette. This is old, not as old as some other people's, because was on the late freight with this one, but I can't get rid of it. It's so, I mean, every time I use this, I'm like, why don't I use this even more? Because it's just so pretty, and the formula is still amazing. Yeah. They changed their formula, apparently. They announced that even. I think they went 100% vegan, and the reviews of the newer formula aren't all that great, so I'm very loath to get rid of my older colored rain palettes because you can't get this formula anymore, apparently. Which is a bummer. I mean, I applaud them for going vegan, but I think, from what I understand, they really need to tweak their... Actually, they might just throw the sleeve away. Why am I holding on to that? I think they need to maybe tweak the formula a bit, because it's not... apparently not as good as it could be. All right, let's grab all of my kaleidos. So first up is Flower Punk, which is the last one I believe they released. Very pretty. Another reason why I don't need Murky Greens. I mean, look at this. Murky Greens. Then I have 3 of the OG ones. So I have another reason why I don't need any Murky Greens. This is the Sci-Fi Green palette. Then I have the Electro Turquoise. Very pretty. And then I have the Futurism Pink, Astrofuturism. This is actually the newer palette, the newest palette for me. That and Flower Punk I got at the same time, so. Oh, and I forgot my Club Nebula. Hold one second. So here is my Lunar Lavender. And my Club Nebula, which I forgot because it's so big I have to keep it in a separate place. I do wish they would do away with the chunky packaging for their like full-size palettes, but this is the collab they did with Angelica Nyquist. Such a pretty palette. I mean, for me, this palette is all about these dark mattes here because they are insane. This is what I reach for the most, or like these shades here, but beautiful palette. Next up are my Ace Beauté. Now, I have the old formula of their palettes, but I will say that for me, when it comes to specifically these two palettes, I don't have any issues with the formula on these. I never did. So I don't have a problem having the old formula for them, but this is the Oceanic. Love this palette. This is the Flare. And then I have Classical Paradise. Now, this formula, as much as I love these shades, I wasn't a huge fan of this formula. The metallics are fine, but the mattes are a bit meh. So I'm thinking I might declutter this one, and if I'm really interested, I'll pick up the new formula eventually. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. I'm running out of desk space. All right, and then next up are my Give Me Glows. And I only owned 3. First up, and this palette I actually forgot to add in my palettes that I bought in 2021. I completely forgot about this one. And then when I was done filming, I looked over and it was sitting there just staring at me like, really? Really, Mara? This is the Pastel Dreams palette. This palette I'm kind of on the fence about. I like it, but it's not, because I don't reach for pastels a ton, it's not something that I'm going to reach for all the time, but I do enjoy having it in my collection. It's just not like the one that like I immediately think of, but it comes in handy, and these metallics are really pretty. Specifically, this Lavender Sky one is so stunning. So yeah, it's kind of like a colorful workhorse palette, you know, like it comes in clutch when you need some pastels or pastel metallics, and they're very pigmented. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping that. I'm not going to get rid of that. My favorite Give Me Glow palette This vintage rose. Look at this palette. I mean, guys, let me just... I mean, can you see that? Let me turn this up. Can you see that? That's probably much better. Wow. So stunning. Of course, that's not going anywhere. And this is Christmas Morning. I like this palette too. This one also has really amazing metallics in it. And this is why I decided not to buy that ColourPop Rudolph palette, because I mean, this is basically the curated version of the color of the Rudolph palette, so I didn't need it. I still kind of low-key wanted it, but I'm kind of glad I missed out on it, because if it hadn't sold out, I probably would have bought it and then would have been like, why the hell did I buy this? Keeping that. Okay, so these are my melts, guys. These are my melt palettes. This is another palette I forgot to show you guys from 2021 because I'm a spaz and I forgot, but here she is. This is the Mary Jane palette. She's very pretty. I like this palette. I know a lot of people didn't. You know what I hate about this palette though? Are the damn sequins. See that? All these little sequins that are from the inside that fall on the inside of the palette. This part I freaking hate, and I wish they had just made that something else, because that's obnoxious, and the last thing I want is to get sequin in my eye, so I have to brush this freaking palette off every time I use it. Maybe that's why I forgot it, because I was irritated by that. But the palette itself is lovely. The sequins is ridiculous. It makes me think of Claire's makeup, and then you think of asbestos, you know. All right. Next, I have the much adored, the much sought after, pined after Immortalis palettes. I have Vida and I have Mrete. And yeah, I mean, you guys kind of know what these look like. I'll show them to you anyway. Here is Vida. I don't use this one as much, but I'm happy to have it. I got this one last. I got it from Beauty Bay right before they discontinued it, and I'm really glad about that. Because at first I wasn't going to get it, and then I was like, you might as well complete the face, you know. And here is, of course, Mrete, the beautiful Mrete. So pretty. Of course, these aren't going anywhere. Like, duh. $4.20. So many people talk shit about this palette, but I actually really like it, and I didn't have any issues with it, and I'm keeping it because this color story is fire. And again, do I need any more raw sea greens? No. And the palette that started it all for me. This is the first melt palette I ever bought. The story of this palette for me, this is the Melt Gemini palette. I am in fact a Gemini. And when this palette went on sale, I bought it as a birthday gift to myself, like a month before my birthday. And the reason why I purchased it, because it was a Gemini palette, but it was also the most perfect color story ever. And it encapsulated my whole vibe and soul. So there you go. Love this palette. Will never get rid of it. It's beautiful. It's my favorite. Some people don't like the melt formula. Honestly, I've never had an issue with any of the palettes that I've owned, so I can't speak on that. I can only speak on how, you know, my experiences, and I've never had an issue. There's some that I like more than others, but I've never had an issue. Smoke Sessions, beautiful. Love it. Keeping, not getting rid of any of my melts. None of the melts go. All right, next up I have these big kahunas. I'm gonna do these and like the classic Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes separately. I mean, they're technically supposed to be separate brands, even though we know they're not. But I have them away from each other. They're not located in the same location because these are freaking ginormous and I need more space for them. So let's go by volume 1. I shall show to you this palette. I hardly ever use anymore. It's pretty. I bought it on a whim, but you know what? I'm never going to get rid of them, because what I found out is that these are great for like duping videos. I found that out when I did the Mercury retrograde, how many palettes that I can find how many shades I can find in these palettes that are dupes for shades in other brands' palettes. It's quite interesting. So yeah, for that reason, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Then I don't have volume 2, I have volume 3. With the volume 3 one, volume 2 is like the blue one, and the volume 3 is like the orangey green one. I've used this quite a bit. I've actually used this one more than I've used the purple one. I've used it for Halloween looks. I mean, come on, fall looks. I mean, this is just like screaming Halloween fall. Yeah, keeping it. And then I have volume 4. I believe this is 4. There we go. And you guys saw this quite a bit when I was doing my duping the vibes of the Huda Beauty. I said Mercury Retrograde, but I meant the Rose Quartz palette. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this one, and I honestly do think eventually I will buy volume 5. I didn't do it. I talked myself out of it during the Black Friday sales because I wasn't purchasing during Black Friday. That was my own kind of like thing of not buying during Black Friday, because what tends to happen with Black Friday is you kind of start and then it's hard to stop, or you know, you just kind of get into the vibe of like, oh, I'm buying, I'm shopping, and I didn't want to get into that mindset this year. I just kind of wanted to, you know, usually every Black Friday I shop and I buy stuff, but this year I wanted to just try and not do that, see how that felt, and it actually felt quite nice. I mean, the day came and went pretty uneventfully, which I enjoyed. So yes, this is now this is officially the end of this video because I have to edit this and I don't want it to be too long. But yeah, this is part 1, and I will start filming part 2. And you guys, you know, it won't be a big deal for you guys, but you know, you can watch them, you know, at your leisure. Of course, you can watch them out of order even if you wanted to do that. But I'm going to end this video here. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys in part 2. Bye now.